Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Ernie.
and this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Well, Ernie, it is almost the new year. This is going to post right at the very end of December. For us, it's the end of November, but it's starting to get colder. I think it's snowing where you are, which is wild to me, right?
Yeah, Wisconsin, we have snow coming down today, about to get 3 inches.
Yeah, so we're starting to think about the new year and look back at the past year, and also look forward to any budget changes we want to make in the new year. So we thought we would take this episode and kind of do a bit of a year in review, kind of look back in the past, talk about my financial year, which I had a crazy one, I feel like. So I got a lot to talk about. And Ernie you'll talk about your year, and then we'll look forward and talk about maybe some changes we want to make in our budgets in the coming year.
But before we get into all of that, we need a refrigerator update. I mean, it's been weeks.
It's been like over a month. Yes, the refrigerator is in the kitchen. That's not only in the house, it's in the kitchen. And it's beautiful. The old refrigerator is gone. Everything is good. I don't remember even what I said in my last update. It was, we had.
It was a sensitive subject, right? There were some problems going on. You didn't want to talk about it. So,
yeah. The bottom line is it wouldn't fit through the kitchen door. Even when we took the doors off the fridge and everything, and Home Depot said that they would help us with it, but they were like sending people who didn't know how to do it. It was a whole problem. So I finally did it myself, and I had to take the trim off the door because we needed like literally half an inch to get it through this door. I had to take the trim off the door, but I got it into the kitchen. There's no trim on the door right now, but there will be soon. So yeah, so the fridge there, and it's beautiful, Ernie. Like, I literally opened the fridge yesterday and I was like, do we have less food in the fridge right now, or is it just gigantic? Because it looks empty, and normally it's like, I don't know. Normally the refrigerator is like full to the brim because we have so many kids and stuff. And there's just tons of space. I don't have to bend over.
I was going to say, when you open the fridge, there's no way you're bending over because the freezer's on the bottom.
The freezer's on the bottom. There's an ice maker that works. Like, I've been doing ice trays for a long time, man. I've been living like just in complete, like a complete animal, basically. Like, not
that
an automatic ice maker.
That is a game changer. Like, you'll never go back.
Yeah, it's nice. So I'm pretty bougie with my fridge now. And I don't mind at all. We did get a refund. We got 25% off because of the enormous customer service debacle that we experienced, and I am grateful for that. I mean, that was nice. I would definitely pay that much money for it to not have been such a fiasco.
Sure.
But it was nice to get some money back.
So
anyways.
Start to finish, how long did this take? Like, from the time you and Caitlin took that date to buy your refrigerator to getting it installed?
6 weeks at least, or maybe like 2 months. Yeah.
Well, that's just kind of in line with this whole refrigerator process, right? I mean, that money sat in your appliance category for what seemed like years.
If you account for how long the money sat in the category, it was like since like July. So yeah. But we got it done. Yeah, and we'll probably get another fridge when we renovate the kitchen, because we had to get like a tiny fridge because apparently fridges have gotten bigger since my kitchen was last made, and most fridges will not fit in this space. So anyways, it's wild, but yeah,
crazy. Well, it is crazy to think that's an end of a story for us, because boy, that was a content filler for so many episodes. So we'll have to come up with something different in the new year.
Yeah, and it's luxurious, man. Let me tell you, it's got ice, it's got a water dispenser. I mean, I talked about this, how like when I was growing up, if there was an ice and a water dispenser built into the door of the fridge at a friend's house, I was like, these people are rich. Like this is this is like the ultimate sign of wealth here. Because like in the 90s, like that was when that was first happening, and so you had like a fancy new fridge. I was like, oh man, these people, they're so fancy. They got an ice dispenser. Now it's like standard.
I'm glad that fridge is in your house now. Let's just get that trim back up and kind of put a end to this story, I guess.
I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, it'll get done. So we'll get that done. Yeah, but that was just one of many things in a crazy year for me financially. But I want to hear about you, Ernie. What are some fun things that you bought this year? What was your year like overall financially?
Okay, I will say it was fun to do this, to kind of go back through the budget a little bit, but it just felt different. I don't do this a whole lot. I'm very much just a forward-thinking budgeter. Not that that's the way to do it. I know there's a lot of value in going back, looking at reports, just kind of thinking through what happened. But I've never really done that. Haven't got it a whole lot of value, but it was fun doing it, especially when I was thinking about the things that I bought, that Christy and I bought, that we really, really loved. And so I was able to whittle it down to 3. So the first one was a Vikings game that I went to with my youngest son, Simeon. So I started this tradition where once the boys turn 13, I take them to a Vikings game, because NFL games are so expensive. It's really difficult to take an entire family of 5. So I was just kind of doing them one at a time, one per year. And so this was Simeon's year, and he was really, really excited. So we went to US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Vikings played the Cardinals. It was a fantastic game. Vikings won. Nice. And it was just a really fun experience for all of us. I took my dad, my youngest brother, some other family friends. And so we had a great time. And as I was coming home, I was like, I love spending money on professional sporting events. Like, this is just something that I love to do. And even considered creating a separate category. Like right now, all my fun money is in one general category. I'm like, boy, what if I prioritize these sporting events? Every year I try to go to some sort of event. I didn't end up doing that. But I think I am going to. I've already been making plans with a friend to get to a Timberwolves game sometime either this year or next year. So that was fun. The other thing, 2 other things, we're having a big silver maple tree removed in our backyard. It's really old. It's really ugly. There's been numerous branches that have already fallen. So it's the beginning of the end. And it's not a beautiful tree. Like we live in a very wooded area, and this tree has always struggled to find sunlight, it looks like. So it has branches going everywhere.
Didn't quite make it.
I mean, it's huge. Like it was scrappy. It survived.
It was doing fine for a long time. Yeah.
But it
happens.
It's time to go. And so we're having that removed, and that it's going to create this massive crater in the backyard once we have that, all those roots removed and that stump ground out.
I thought you were going to say it's going to create a massive crater in your budget.
Well, maybe, but it's worth it.
Tree removal is expensive. That's wild.
And having this massive stump ground out is not cheap either, because those roots from a silver maple, they're really shallow. And so they're sticking up everywhere. So there's probably a 8, 10 foot, maybe even 12 foot diameter that has to be ground out. And so it's really going to transform the backyard, which I just love doing yard work. I love our backyard, and I love trying to make it something really, really special. And so that's what I'm going to be doing this spring and next summer. So I'm excited for that. That was money. I always love spending money on house upgrades, on yard upgrades. And then the final thing, what was it? Oh yeah. We put some money towards an Airbnb for a vacation in 2023. Now, traditionally, we've always stayed in hotels. We use the Chase Hyatt card. We get hotel points. So we haven't had to pay for a hotel in years.
Okay.
And so that means we're going to metropolitan areas on vacation. And that has just been starting to wear on me a little bit. Like, put me off in a rural area, like put me in the woods, back cabin, you
want to be
on
quiet,
a lake.
Relax.
Exactly. And that's what we're doing. And so I was excited to put that deposit down on the Airbnb. I'm like, this is going to be a fantastic vacation. So money well spent.
Nice. All right. So tree removal, Vikings games, Airbnb for next year. That's exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cool you roll it all up. It was a good chunk of money, but boy, I really liked spending that money.
Love it. That's great. Yeah. We've been saving for, I literally have a category just called 2023 vacation, and I don't know what it's for or anything. It's just some kind of vacation next year. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Actually, a couple of my friends literally just asked us to go on vacation with them and without the kids. And I was like, yes, because they're my best friends. And we had kids way like quite a few years before them. And they've asked us to go on cruises with them, 'cause they travel a lot. They've asked us to go on things with them, and we've always said no so many times, but I feel like this time we can say yes. So we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, my year. Okay, I feel like I had a crazy year. I feel like this year was, the theme was Rule 3, roll with the punches on a large scale. like I'm moving like thousands of dollars between categories in my budget. Like, I mean, and also on a small scale too, because of like inflation. So yeah, beginning of the year, had a baby, no big deal, right? Yeah, whatever. No, definitely a big deal. And that's always weird. Every time we've had a new kid, Gil was our fourth, and it's just weird because you never really know how it's going to shake out, because medical bills are just so obtuse, like so hard to predict, even with insurance and all that. So, we save up a good chunk of money for all that. And then I just don't really know how it's going to work out. Like, I remember one of my kids, like I think I got like a bill and then refunded for an overcharge like 5 times, like back and forth. It was
what's going on, people?
I don't know. The administration is just crazy. And Gil had a tongue tie, so we had to see an ENT doctor. That was a whole saga, man. It was like you had to do all these exercises with him and see like a lactation consultant. It was a whole thing. So that was a lot of bills. It was just kind of a lot of rolling the punches, and I feel like we were just kind of in a holding pattern from like February until like April or May. Really, we're just kind of like waiting for things to settle down. You know what I mean? And then at the end of May, we were, we paid off the house a couple years ago, and we've been saving for all these big renovations. And so we're like, okay, the baby's settled in, everything's like kind of moving, and we're like, okay, we're going to start working on these redecorations and these renovations we want to do. And then we had a job loss at the end of May. My wife lost her job. And so that was a big Rule 3. Like, all this money that we were saving for all these home renovations just went right to like a job loss fund. And it was actually really awesome because we'd been saving all this money, and because we'd made all these, I talked about this quite a bit before, because we made all these strides to increase our cash flow, we were able to weather that job loss really well. And Caitlin was able to really think about what she wanted and find the right job and actually negotiate and not have to like just take whatever she got, and I was really grateful because it actually ended up being a blessing in the end. It was not fun from like the month of June was scary and tough, but she got a better job that she likes more, about the same pay, but she's working fewer hours. And we also got some severance from the job she was laid off on, and we didn't use all that. So it was kind of like a bonus in the end. So, even though we had a hard thing, it was actually really a blessing in the end. And I'm really grateful for it. So yeah, that was crazy, but also really positive in the end too. So that was cool. And then throughout August and September, we had home renovations run amok. I mean, I think I've said it before, but I'll describe the process. We wanted to repaint we have a big room downstairs in the basement, and we wanted to like get new carpet because it was just ugly. Like it was just old, and the kids had kind of wrecked a lot of stuff. So we wanted to get new furniture, new carpet, new paint, and like we actually hired a decorator to come and give us advice, and we're gonna redecorate it, and it was gonna look really nice. So we did that, and then the painter that we hired was like, "These walls are in terrible shape, and I'm gonna charge you an arm and a leg to paint this because it's gonna be a nightmare of a job." And we're like, "Oh well, if we're gonna pay this much for painting, we may as well take the wood paneling down and put in drywall, right?" So we're like, "Okay, we'll pay for some drywall." So we put it. So we took the wood paneling down, and lo and behold, you take the wood paneling down. There's tons of water damage on one of the walls.
Oh my goodness!
Because our gutters are really bad. They're falling off, and they're not doing their job. And so we're talking about replacing the gutters. And that's kind of like an emergency situation. Like we need to deal with these gutters. We cleaned them out better than, I mean, I clean them regularly, but like we really got it like super, super cleaned out. But they were still falling apart. Like they just weren't up to snuff, and it was causing all this water damage. Anyways, so we got new gutters because of that. And because we got new gutters, might as well get a new roof.
It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, right?
Well, I've been saving for a new roof for years. I've talked about this. It's just like one of my true expenses. And it was just an opportunity, and we had the money because we've been saving for all these other things. And so I was like, all right, let's move some money from here to here. We'll get the new roof and the new gutters, and we'll just get it all done at once. So we did that. And then we were like, well, the plugs downstairs aren't grounded. So while we have the drywall off, we should probably pay an electrician to ground all the plugs downstairs. So we did that. And then we pulled the carpet out, and there was asbestos tile underneath the carpet. So so I had to take the asbestos tile out, which I did with a friend. We had masks on. It was the whole thing. It's probably fine. And then we had to, in order for the carpet people to come in, they required that we have an air quality test done, which was like another $300.
Jeez.
And so we got an air quality test done, and then I'm getting so in the weeds here, but it was just like, because we wanted to paint the walls, one thing led to another, and it was just wild. Like everything just expands so much. And I even told the decorator, she basically became a contractor for us. She was like managing all these people, and I was so grateful for her. But we ended up paying her extra. I actually kind of insisted that we pay her extra because we hired her for like a decorator fee, and she became a general contractor.
Okay.
So we paid her extra. And oh man, it was wild. But
is it done?
It's done. Oh dude,
okay.
It looks so good down there. Like it is. Like it's actually almost weird because that room looks so nice now, and the rest of the house does not look that nice. So
okay,
I'm like,
kids, we're gonna find a different room for you.
Yeah. I mean, they like it though. It's working. But yeah, we got all sorts of great stuff. It's just awesome. So a lot of work came to fruition there, and it's this. I'm so happy with it. And I thought I was going to be like mad about having to pay for, boring stuff like gutters and a roof,
sure.
But like dad mode is activated in me. And I just like love my new gutters, and I love my new roof. I'm like, yeah, like every time I drive up to the house, I'm like, yeah, like it just feels so satisfying. So
this is where I hate working remotely. Like I just want to drive over to your house, and I want you to give me a tour around the perimeter. Talk about all the different points on the roof, walk me through things, show me how to clean them. Oh,
yeah. We got these like fancy gutters that like, anyways, they shouldn't require as much cleaning. It's nice because we have so many leaves coming down, so we got these like really nice guards that should help. I mean, I might have given in some marketing, but I think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll find out next fall.
Good. Yeah, we'll find out next fall. Exactly. I think they got a good reputation though. So, but yeah, just a lot of stuff. And then all among all this, of course, just general inflation this year has been absolutely wild. So we've been rolling with the punches. And the little things too. Like this month, we really we don't overspend in groceries very much. Like my wife is got it so dialed in, but partly because of Thanksgiving, I don't think we really considered that at the beginning of the month. We really should have. We were really overspent in groceries, but my wife's been saying, Kayla's been saying it is getting tighter and tighter and harder to deal with it. So we need to increase groceries. Gas has gone up and down, and that's been wild. So lots of small Rule 3 stuff. So I think that overall it's just been a Rule 3 year, and it's been exciting and also really fun, but also kind of crazy. But I think all the work we've done to kind of prioritize cash flow, kind of like I was talking about in a recent episode, really helped me deal with a lot of this, and also just being very, very blessed with a lot of good things in my life. So when
I was looking back over the year, looking at the actual numbers, and the year isn't done yet, but I already know more money is going to be going out than what came in. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really concerned about that because over the past couple of years, we haven't been doing a lot of spending. I mean, there was COVID, so we weren't traveling, and my wife really likes to take trips. And we just weren't doing much. We were kind of in a holding pattern there with the house for a little bit. But now we're starting to do a lot more house projects. And so I think it's just natural. And we were taking more trips this year. So it's natural that, we just kind of spent a lot of that money that we had been saving over the years. So when you look at that final number, I'm like, oh, it's red, but you know what? That's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, like we talk about all the time, the point of saving is still to spend, right?
Yes.
So if you spend a lot of time saving and then you spend a lot of time spending, it's all the same in the end. You can't take it with you in the very end, right? So it's all good. It's all good.
So what do you think about for 2023? As you've looked back on 2022, anything you're going to do different? Anything you're going to make sure you keep doing that's the same?
I haven't really looked at the budget yet to kind of burn it down, but I feel like it's going to be a year of saving again. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of waffling back and forth because there's a lot of home renovations I want to do, like I've talked about. So we did a lot of spending as I just went through, right? And now I feel like, at least for maybe the next 6 months or a year or so, it's probably going to be a lot of saving up for other things. Like we want to renovate a bathroom, which is going to be probably even more expensive than just that one. Well, it's going to be more expensive than we planned on that room, that one room being.
Bathroom renovations, at least in this part of the country, are pretty crazy. I had a guy come in and give me a price, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Please tell me you're kidding me."
I have been shocked by some quotes. But, the fact is, you have a house, you got to take care of these things. You can't just leave it because, we got a bathroom that's pretty rough shape. So it needs to get taken care of. So, we'll probably do that. But I think we'll be saving for a while for that. So, okay, that's one thing for me. What about you?
I think we're going to be doing a lot more spending. I hate saying that, but we just got a puppy. Got a puppy.
That's right.
2 months ago.
How have we not talked about this? Have we talked about it on Budget Nerds?
We haven't.
Oh,
Ashley wants us to do an episode on dogs, on pets.
I think we should. Okay,
I think we should.
Want a pet episode? Let us know because I got a lot to say about that.
Well, literally, and honestly, I was just kind of waiting on it because I'm still trying to figure this all out. There was that initial depletion of cash at the beginning when the puppy came home. His name is Ridge. He's a mini golden doodle. It's been a while
since you had a pet, right?
Yeah, 2 months. No, almost 3.
No, I mean, since before you didn't have a pet for a long time.
No pets.
No pets at all?
No
so
pets
this is
at
your first foray into the pet world, really?
Yes, and I resisted it for so long.
And are you like that classic dad thing where you're like, no, and then you're in love with the puppy?
Absolutely. I love it. So I just, I couldn't keep a dog from Christy and the boys. They really have wanted this for a long time, and so it was good. But it's an adjustment to the budget. So I'm still trying to figure out, monthly vet costs and grooming costs and toys and supplies and all that stuff. And so I'm trying to make room for that in the budget for next year.
A little bit of a hot take. And my wife is actually the one that said this first, so don't come at me in the comments. Having a puppy in some ways is harder than having a baby. It's a shorter time where they're really difficult, but it's really difficult.
It is really difficult. Oh my goodness.
You can't like go anywhere. Like a newborn baby, like you can take them to a restaurant or something. Like they just for like the first couple months, they're just like sitting there, you know what I mean? Like you just have to keep this thing alive, right? But like a puppy immediately is getting into everything and peeing everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
You can't take them anywhere, like, you know, so you kind of have to stay with them all the time. And it's very hard. It really is.
Yeah. Christy and I never had babies. We adopted our boys and the youngest was 17 months. And so we joke that Ridge is like our infant, our newborn. Yeah. Oh my goodness, is he taking us for a ride? Yeah,
it's wild.
This cements it. We definitely have to do an episode 2023 about pets.
Yeah, I want to hear about that because you'll be a little more settled by that point, and then we can talk about it. So, it's so great.
But thinking about this pets things, just to take it a little bit further with budgeting here, you know, I'm the budget nerd in the family. I do pretty much everything. As far as the mechanics of keeping the budget going, and a lot of times the priorities end up skewing towards me and kind of what I want to do. And so as I was thinking through and looking at the numbers with the dog, with Ridge, I was like, really and Christy told me this, like she loves spending money on Ridge and she loves spending her own money on Ridge. And so I was like, okay, this is definitely a big priority for you. So in a way, I'm glad that now the budget is kind of shifting and kind of giving a little bit more, I guess, money towards her priorities there. So I think, you know, it just naturally gets a little unbalanced.
Yeah, I do think there's something there. We can talk about that a whole lot too, where, yeah, there's in most couples, there's one person who's more nerdy and handles the day-to-day of the budget. And if you don't like guard against it, it can that their priorities could take precedence.
Yes, that's the thing. I wasn't, you know, consciously trying to do this and, you know, take something away from her. It just kind of naturally skews that way.
Well, one more person's like more interested in it than the other, so it's just kind of there's less energy going one way.
And so now it's going to swing back a little bit more towards her, and that's good. So yeah,
well, let's be honest, Ernie. You love this puppy. I mean, come on.
I really do. Boy, sometimes he makes me so mad. Like, we're doing this again. But at the end of the day, I get done teaching workshops and I'm upstairs and he's falling asleep on my lap, you know, and he's so soft. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Makes it all worth it.
Ridgy.
And it does get better quickly.
Okay.
More quick than toddlers. So, oh man. But
yeah, so I think there's just going to be a rebalancing of priorities in 2023. And the other thing is I'm not doing a fresh start. I've been doing a fresh start every single year for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years. And
that's got me shook, Ernie. This is
I know.
This is like one thing you can count on in the world is Ernie's going to do a fresh start in the new year.
I just like that brand new budget.
Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of it.
And yeah, but this year I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep it going. Let's kind of build on that net worth chart a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens. I'll probably hate it. And February 1st, I'll start a new budget, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've reminisced enough. Why don't we talk about some things that folks listening might do in the new year to kind of shake up the budget and kind of rethink things, because it's kind of prime time for getting back into the budget. Maybe if you haven't been paying as much attention to it for a while, or maybe you just want to shake things up. What are some ways you can do that? You talked about the fresh start as a big one for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good way, especially for folks that maybe haven't been in the budget for a while. Just get rid of that old budget. For people that maybe a season change, you know, you moved, or a new job, or there's just a whole bunch of different accounts or categories that you're not using anymore. Make a fresh start, clean everything up, and, move on with that new budget. I think that's a great option for those folks.
Yeah. And just to be clear, when we say make a fresh start, we're talking about an actual feature in the apps where you can create a new budget file. Your old budget file will be copied and it'll get a new name. It'll be kind of archived, so you can always look back on that data. But the new budget file will have all the same categories, any scheduled transactions, any targets that you set, but all the spending will be deleted. So you can start fresh with kind of a fresh slate, but you don't have to do all the work of actually creating a new budget file from scratch. So it's kind of an in-between. But you might even do a new budget file. I mean, because we talked about this too, when you do a fresh start, sometimes all that data is in there and it might kind of bias you toward continuing the same thing.
Right.
So like a true proper new budget might really shake things up even more. So that's something there too.
Yeah, maybe you want to rethink everything. All the accounts. Is there a better way to handle the account structure, the category structure? So yeah, the new budget. Another option is the budget burn down. So maybe you want to keep your budget as is, but you want to look at your money with fresh eyes. So the budget burn down is you take all the money out of the categories. It's all up there and ready to assign, and then just give jobs to those dollars. Yeah,
there's an auto assign option. I think it's only on the web app. I think it's not on mobile because people accidentally bump this on mobile and it messes up their budget pretty bad. And there's also not an undo button on mobile. So I think it's web only. There's an auto assign option that says reset available amounts. And what it does is it takes all the categories that you select, or all the categories, and moves all the money in the available amounts all the way to 2B budget. So you got a big number there. Yeah, and you can just start over. It's almost like there's ranges of a fresh start. Like there's a new budget that's like the totally like you're starting from scratch, right? And then there's the fresh start where you have a new budget file, but you're doing this. And then there's the budget burn down where you keep the same budget file, but you just reallocate the money again.
I don't know why the budget burn down scares me. Like I'm honestly terrified of taking all the money. For some reason, I can make a fresh start and not even think twice about it.
I think what it is the fresh start is you still have a record of what the amounts were. But
maybe
if you click that reset available amounts, it's like, I don't know how much I had in the car maintenance because it's not there anymore. I guess you could look at the money moves and you could see it there. But yeah, it would be... I feel like it is almost, in some ways, it is even a bigger deal than a fresh start because you don't have that record. But yeah, I think it's a cool idea. Especially some of those true expense categories, like, we're always kind of changing the amount that we're saving for non-monthly bills and expenses. And sometimes it might be like, oh, I'm actually saving too much for auto maintenance. Like I have, maybe I have too much of a surplus there or something like that. And that money could be used in a better way elsewhere, So if you do that just complete burn down and you move all that money somewhere else, you can kind of rethink every single category. So that can be really huge.
Yeah. What I usually end up doing is I just go through every available balance and then just really think through or talk through with Christy, like, is that good? Do we want more? Do we want less?
Yeah, I like that. I feel like that might be more my speed rather than actually hitting that reset available amount. Maybe I'll hit it and just like see how I feel and then hit undo if it scares me too much.
There you go. Well, what'd be interesting too is to let our wives do it separately from what we do. Right, Christy, here's a pile of money. What would you do with this?
That would be interesting.
I think Ridge would get 95% of it. Like, hey, we need to eat too here.
I love it. Yeah, I've done that kind of thing with Caitlin too. When we've gotten like a raise or something like that, and we want to decide how we're going to do that, like we'll write down what we want to do with it separately, and then come together. And it's very enlightening because if you make those decisions together, you can kind of influence each other. But it's really interesting to see like totally separate what your priorities are, and then come together and discuss it. So yeah, that could be a fun way to do it if you have a partner. But yeah, a lot there. So yeah, fresh start, new budget burn down, or just go through your categories and question the available amounts. That's a good idea.
Another thing you could do is if you use targets, review those. And you're looking at that average spent button, what you've been spending on average from the category over the past 12 months and make any adjustments to that target. I think that's a good exercise to do as well.
Yeah, again, in that one, you might have some where you realize maybe I am saving too much because over the past 12 months, the average is 100 and I'm putting 150 in there, whatever. And then others, it might be, the other way where it's like, this happens with true expenses all the time for me. I'm like, you know what? I have been whamming money into that category a lot. And I look at the average and I see I really am spending more than I think I am by according to the target. So you need to raise that target. So it probably will even itself out and you'll just optimize your budget a little more. So that's really cool. Another thing you can do, close some accounts in the real world and also in YNAB. I am a huge proponent of this, especially if you're doing like a fresh start. It's a good time to rethink your account structure. Try to simplify as much as you can. Fewer. I say fewer accounts, the better.
Yeah,
because it just reduces the boring stuff. Like it reduces the kind of busy work, the upkeep, and it gives you more time and more energy to focus on what really matters, which is actually what you want your money to do, not so much where it's being stored and what credit card you use for what thing and that kind of stuff. So rethink your account structure, see if there's anything that maybe you could simplify a little bit.
And we've mentioned this before a little bit, I think, already this episode, but you can do some stuff with categories too. If there's categories you're not using, you can hide those or delete those. And just look at the category structure. Is this working? Does this current structure help me prioritize money as it comes in throughout the month? If it doesn't, change it up. Do something different.
I've been talking about changing my category structure for a long time. I feel like I was like, oh, I'm going to do the themed thing like Ernie does. And then you stopped doing that. And now I don't know what to do because I thought about switching to what you were doing for so long. And I was influenced by you. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the time. Maybe I should actually, I've probably said that 1,000 times. Maybe I should actually change up this category structure. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you a plug for my structure. I know a lot of budget nerds also use this where it's bills and then like some sort of frequent and then your true expenses. And then maybe like I have a goals section. So maybe there's some other groups in there, but just putting bills, and that's all the bills, monthly and non-monthly. And then the true expenses, just separating those out, putting one on top of the other. I don't know. It's working for me, and I really like that.
It's a lot of what I have now. I have a bills and a frequent and a non-monthly. But yeah, I was really intrigued by your idea of anything that, even if it's non-monthly, if it's like a yearly subscription, as long as it's regular in the same amount, putting that under bills, that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, because I just don't touch that money. So half my categories are off the table when it comes time to roll with the punches.
Yeah, because it's a known quantity, right? So you know exactly what you need to do. Yeah, and I have a bunch of other category groups just for specific things that I have, but yeah. Maybe we could rethink that. I think one of our most popular episodes is when you went through your categories piece by piece, and I went through mine. Maybe we're due for another one of those.
Yeah. Well, I think with that last update, someone asked, "Hey, could we take a look at your actual budget categories sometime?" Okay, so maybe we do that next year.
Yeah, maybe we can do that next year. That'd be good. Cool. What else? Or what are some other things that you can do? Reconcile your accounts. Maybe there's some accounts that you don't use that often. You haven't reconciled in a while. Just kind of clean up a little bit. You could, if you want to get really nerdy, you could clean up those payees, right?
Ooh.
Especially if you're doing like a fresh start or something. Take the opportunity to combine some payees, delete some that you don't use very much. Because I feel like I've thought about this. Like I feel it's really not a big deal, but it annoys me. You ever have like there's some store, like you're on vacation and you go to some store and like you spend money at some place and you put in a payee for that and you're never going to use that payee ever again. I just hate having payees where there's like one transaction associated with it.
Yes.
It's just annoying to me. And I wonder if there's a way I can like combine it with something else, because I don't really need to know that information. I don't know.
That'd be a lot of work to go back. And that's
it's
why
not really worth it.
Right. But that's why I also like doing the fresh start, because I would clean up those payees. I'm like, all these one-off shops that I went to on vacation, deleted, not going back to those, right? But then also there have been times where we're like, hey, what was that place we went to on vacation? So, and I have to go back
it is useful
to the old budget to get that.
Yeah. I don't know. So there are times where it does matter. And, you say, oh, I'm never going to buy something there again. But I'm never buying anything in Home Depot ever again, because now they're my arch nemesis, but I probably will. So.
Well, one other thing with payees, this came up in a workshop the other day, and I realized this is a game changer. It's really a small feature, but the ability to not have a payee automatically categorized is huge. Because you know how YNAB always uses the last category? So if I were to go to Target and spend $200 across 8 categories, well, the next Target transaction, it's going to have those 8 categories pulled up. And I just got really sick of always editing, especially the categories for the big box stores. And so I unchecked that automatically categorize button. And now it's empty every time it imports or I enter it myself. And I don't know, it's a lot cleaner when I enter and import those transactions. And I like it a lot.
I see this a lot in the community where people are like, oh, YNAB is getting this category wrong for this payee. That's often the language that's used. And it's like, well, I have a little pet peeve because I'm like, it's not wrong because all it's doing is it's only doing what you told it to do, right? Like all it's doing is using the last category that you use with that payee. But yeah, there's a lot of things like after reading one of these conversations in the community, I actually went to like my Amazon pay and said, just don't auto categorize it.
Yes.
There's a little check mark in the pay management. Yeah. Like you said, and you can just uncheck that. And it's so much better because I don't know why it's not a big deal to be able to just change what comes up. But I think it just kind of bothers me when it like comes up and I'm like, no, that's wrong. I need to be this, even though it's the same exact process. I still click on payee or click on category and change it. But when it's wrong, I don't know. There's something more satisfying when it's just an unknown payee. I guess it does help avoid mistakes too, because maybe if you didn't notice that it was the wrong payee, you'll get an alert if there's no pay or no category. Sorry. So you'll kind of be reminded to actually add that category instead of just going with whatever YNAB shows you. So yeah, go in the pay, uncheck those automatically categorized payee, and that'd be really good.
Well, another thing you could do, we're kind of winding down the list here, and we've talked about this a little bit, but choosing a new financial goal for the year. I think a lot of folks do that. They kind of review what happened, like we talked about with our own budgets, and then what is the next year going to bring. And so this would be a good opportunity for a budget date. If you're budgeting with a partner or with yourself, go someplace special, order takeout, do something to kind of really make it go in a bubble bath, right?
Exactly.
It's a big deal, right? So spend some time thinking about those goals for the next year.
Yeah, I basically do what me and Ernie just did in this episode is like look back on the past year, be like, okay, what was the year like? What was like the theme of the year? For me, it was Rule 3, right? And then say, what do I want the theme for next year to be? Is there a particular goal that I want to work toward? Do I want to spend a lot of money? What is it? And just kind of figure that out. And it doesn't have to be, like, you're not committed to it, right? Like you don't have to stick to it, but it is kind of a good idea to be like, oh, what's the overarching goal for this next year, and where do I want my money to go, and just kind of let your budget reflect that. So I think it's really good.
Cool. Well, folks, we definitely want to hear from you, right?
Yeah.
In the comments, or if you're listening to the podcast, reach out to us directly, budgetnerds@youneedabudget.com, and just kind of share with us what 2022 was like for you financially, or maybe what your goals are for 2023. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we want to hear it. What's your theme for the last year and next year? Let us know.
And how about we get into some budget nerd some YNAB wins right now?
Let's do it. Let's get some YNAB wins.
Who's all in your mind?
All right, got a couple wins for you. Also, I do want to say, when we put that call out a couple weeks ago for some wins, wow, did you all respond? So we have a whole bunch of wins. I think I'm looking at 29 right now. And so if you're like, hey, why aren't they sharing in my win? We're going to get there. It's just
we got a list.
Probably going to take a while. All right. So my win comes from Melissa. Melissa shared their win on when the budget gets boring. My YNAB win. I have recently been promoted and will be moving to Europe from Canada. In order to do so, I'll have to sell my place of residence. I've been so disciplined with my YNABing. Yes, I've made it a verb now. We all have. That I won't need any of the equity I will make to get me to Europe. Wow. I'll be able to put the entire profit into my investments, move to Europe, and live the first few months without fear. Thank you, YNAB and team. I can't wait to start fresh and change my currency to euros. Yay. Congratulations, Melissa. That is exciting. And I love the no fear part, right? You're able to do all of that without fear because you know exactly what your money's doing. You're in control. Well done.
Yeah. It's funny when Melissa said, you put the entire profit of the house sale to investments. I was like, oh, that's exciting. Like that's a big wealth building thing. But then when she said, live without fear, live the first few months without fear, that's the real win right there.
Yes.
It really is. I love that. All right. Moving on to Trevor. Trevor wrote in on the API tour episode. And it's been a while since we've had just a good old fashioned, I paid off a boatload of debt win. So this is that. Trevor says, and this is a lot. Trevor says, YNAB win on August 25th, 2022. My wife and I finished paying off, and this is exact, $124,494.64 of debt, I assume, over 3 years, 10 months, 18 days. Wow, that is
crazy amount of money.
Well, it's a crazy amount of money, but also in almost 4 years, that's fast for that.
Very fast and very specific.
Trevor's a tracker. Trevor said, and we couldn't have done it without using YNAB. More big goals ahead. Love it. That is such a big deal. So cool.
Yeah, congratulations. So even though we have a long list of YNAB wins to get through, don't let that hold you back from sharing your YNAB win, whether big or small, you accomplish something or even just a mindset shift. Share it with us in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast, there's budgetnerds@youneedabudget.com.
All right. Well, until we see you guys again in 2023, happy budgeting. We'll see y'all later.
See ya.